Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to shrink way down to explore a totally hidden universe. I'm talking about the microscopic entities that literally drive Earth's entire environment. They surround us, they live on us, and frankly, they dictate exactly how our planet functions.
So, let's dive right into this invisible world. We're looking at organisms smaller than a single millimeter. And you know, this whole realm was first revealed to us through a crude thumb-sized microscope. It was created by Sir Antonie van Leeuwenhoek, and this tiny little piece of glass and metal completely opened the door to a sprawling biological kingdom that we couldn't even see with the naked eye. To make sense of this vast microscopic space, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the invisible microbial world, move on to bacteria and the extremophiles, take a look at the complex eukaryotes, tackle what I like to call the acellular rule breakers, and finally, we'll discover the first common ancestor.
All right, Section 1, the invisible microbial world. Let's begin our journey by looking at the foundational map of life on Earth.
To organize the absolute chaos of the microscopic world, a scientist named Carl Woese created the ultimate filing system. He basically divided all living organisms into three main cellular categories: prokaryotes, eukaryotes, and archaea. It's an incredibly brilliant way to categorize things, and really, it sets the stage for everything we understand about biology today.
Moving on to Section 2, bacteria and the extremophiles. Let's contrast two of these fundamental domains that, honestly, scientists used to think were the exact same thing. Okay, so first up, we have the prokaryotes. Think bacteria. They've got this free-floating DNA and these tough cell walls made of complex sugars and proteins, and they are literally everywhere. They can be harmful pathogens, sure, but they also help us brew beverages, act as decomposers, or just harmlessly hang out on our skin. But then, look at archaea. This is wild. Their genetic machinery is actually closer to our own. But their cell walls are built completely differently, which makes them the ultimate biological survivalists. I mean, we're talking about halophiles thriving in the incredibly salty Dead Sea, and thermophiles treating literally boiling hot springs like a luxury vacation. It's absolutely amazing.
Which brings us to Section 3, the complex eukaryotes. Let's see how all this builds into the more complex life forms we actually interact with every single day.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is that eukaryotes step up the complexity by using a protective nuclear membrane to hold their DNA. Eukaryotes possess highly advanced cellular functions, and they can be either single-celled or multicellular. This domain is massive. It encompasses everything from the macroscopic animals and plants you see when you look outside your window, all the way down to microscopic algae and fungi.
Fungi, for instance, are totally fascinating eukaryotes. They can be multicellular, forming these thread-like branching structures called hyphae, which you'd recognize as molds and mushrooms, or they can be unicellular, like yeast. Now, they have these really tough cell walls made of chitin, and they reproduce using spores. But because they completely lack chlorophyll, they can't make their own food. Instead, working alongside bacteria, they act as the planet's primary decomposers. And we can't understate their impact on human health. They provide us with absolutely crucial antibiotics and statins, not to mention they drive the baking and brewing industries to create all those fermented foods we love.
We also have the protists. This is an incredible group that primarily lives in aquatic environments, and there is just immense variety here across three main types. First, you've got the animal-like protozoa. These are single-celled heterotrophs, meaning they have to eat other plants or animals for energy. They actively hunt using little structures like flagella and cilia to move around. Think of an amoeba or a paramecium. Second, there are the plant-like algae. These contain chloroplasts to produce their own food through photosynthesis, and they range from tiny, single-celled green algae and diatoms all the way up to giant multicellular kelp. And finally, we have the fungus-like slime molds, which act as decomposers, just absorbing nutrients from decaying organic matter. It's this whole bizarre world of diversity, all safely tucked within the cellular boundaries of the eukaryotic domain.
Now, Section 4, the acellular rule breakers. Up until now in this explainer, we've explored the cellular tree of life. But we need to slow down for a second because the rules of biology we just established are about to get thrown right out the window.
It all comes down to this. What about life that doesn't use cells at all? This simple question brings us to a massive, ongoing scientific debate. Everything we just covered, archaea, bacteria, eukarya, relies on the cell as the fundamental building block. But what happens when we encounter infectious, replicating entities that exist entirely outside of Carl Woose's nice, neat cellular map?
Well, we call this non-cellular, or acellular life. First up are viruses.
which historically were just dubbed poisons or toxins. Viruses really blur the line between living and non-living. They possess DNA or RNA and have a protein coat which allows them to replicate inside a host. Remarkably, they can actually be crystallized, just like chemical compounds, sit on a shelf for decades and then remain dangerously infectious the very moment they are dissolved in water. It's wild. But then there are viroids, which strip the concept of life down even further. Viroids are the smallest infectious agents currently known to us. They possess only a tiny little loop of single-stranded RNA and completely lack a protein coat. They are incredibly far from what we traditionally consider living, yet they successfully replicate and cause real disease.
Taking a much darker turn, we find prions. Prions don't even have genetic material. No DNA, no RNA, nothing. They are literally just misfolded proteins that act like microscopic bad influencers. When a prion encounters normal proteins, it basically forces them to misfold as well, creating this devastating chain reaction. This triggers fatal, completely untreatable neurogenic diseases in animals and humans. In fact, devastating conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's have been shown to originate through a prion-like mechanism.
And incredibly, our map of this bizarre, terrifying acellular world isn't static. It was updated just recently. I'm talking about the year 2024. Scientists announced a completely groundbreaking discovery, obelisks. By scanning the sequence databases of the human microbiome, which is basically the genetic makeup of the organisms living inside of us, they found entirely new RNA-based elements. These obelisks are completely distinct from virions, and they uniquely code for their own specific proteins, which scientists are calling oblins. They are hiding right inside us, right now, perfectly proving just how much of the microscopic world remains totally uncharted.
Which leads us perfectly into our final stop, Section 5, the first common ancestor. Let's tie all of these strange and wonderful discoveries back to our very origins here on Earth.
We've spent a lot of time today organizing life into neat cellular categories, but a truly mind-bending fact is that the first universal common ancestor, often abbreviated as FUCA, wasn't even a cell at all. Long before bacteria, archaea, or eukaryotes existed, life's most distant origin point was a non-cellular entity that merely possessed a genetic code. So the very root of our massive cellular tree of life was itself acellular.
This entire microbial world represents the foundational drivers of our environment and our very own bodies. If we evolved from a non-cellular ancestor billions of years ago, and we are currently walking around inhabited by newly discovered acellular obelisks that scientists just found in 2024, we have to ask ourselves, what else is hiding in this invisible world, just waiting to completely rewrite our understanding of human life? Keep that thought with you, because as science continues to uncover these vast mysteries, the answers will absolutely change how we see ourselves. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep your curiosity alive.